Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the air. We took a 5-minute recess from the public hearing to allow the folks that attended to leave the building, and we also stretched our legs a little bit. It was a lengthy public hearing, but it was an extremely important public hearing because we're spending a lot of money to make these repairs to the infrastructure up in the Hamlet of Carmel, Water 2. So we needed to hear from everyone. We did, and we appreciate their feedback. It was very valuable. It assists us in moving forward. So we're going to open up the Town Board work session. First item is review of the Town Board minutes of December 20th, 2017. If the board doesn't have any comments on those December 20th minutes, we're going to move forward. First item on the agenda, Supervisor Schmidt, is to consider proposal for special legal services for the town of Carmel, for the Carmel Fire Protection Districts and ambulance services for 2018. This is from Pinsky Law Group. Mr. Pinsky has represented the town for the past, I want to say, 3 years now, John? We're using? Or two? 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. And his contract has expired, and this is up for renewal for his services. So there's a cover letter here from Mr. Pinsky. Dear Supervisor Schmidt, this letter will summarize the proposed terms of our firm's representation of the town of Carmel, including the scope of services we're providing, the agreed upon fee and billing arrangements. The scope of engagement, we will represent the town in review of all hard data of the Mahopac Fire Department's expenditures, investments, and transfers of the town of Carmel's 2018 fire protection funds, and prepare QuickBooks financial reports and reconciliation of the same for review by the town. The fee arrangement, unless otherwise arranged and agreed to in writing, our fee is based on the time spent by the attorneys and the legal assistants who work on the matter. Our flat rates will be $20,000 per year, payable in quarterly installments. And it's important to note that his fees have not changed. His fees remain the same as he was billing us and charging us when he began the work 2 years ago. Should a fee dispute arise which is not resolved by discussion between you and your attorney, you may ask to seek arbitration. Your attorney will provide information concerning arbitration in the event of such dispute or upon request. His billing services, billings will be generally performed no less than quarterly, but inactive files will be performed monthly. The client is expected to remit payment in no less than 45 days. I don't think we need to really go over all his billing services. That's really not necessary. An important number is that he has not increased his fees for service to represent the town. And he also represents Carmel, he represents the town with negotiations with the Carmel Volunteer Ambulance Corps as well. So Board, Pinsky Law Group, his fees remain the same. I believe we need to continue utilizing his services to deal with the Fire Protection District and the Carmel Ambulance District as well. So what's the board's pleasure on this?
Yeah, I just, I'm not thrilled with him. You know, because as you know, like I've been somewhat involved with it, with you over this past year, and there was information that we requested. It just seems that I'm just not thrilled with him, that's all.
Okay. Does that mean, Susie, that you don't support renewing the agreement with him?
Yeah, I'm not in support of agreeing. You know, I know there may have to be something else that we need to do, but I was not thrilled with the way that he worked, the firm worked over this past year. And, you know, that's all I
Okay.
really
No,
need
no,
to
no,
say.
I appreciate that,
Say,
yeah.
you know,
No,
just being honest.
and that's fine, but we have to prepare then
Right,
to
yeah.
seek other counsel to provide the same services, if that's what we want to continue doing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the other board members feel. I haven't talked to anybody about this, but, you know, that's just my feeling.
Okay, well,
Can I ask you a question?
yes.
How come why did you read this?
Why?
Yeah. Do we read all
I read a
retainers?
cover letter normally. There's normally a cover letter.
A scope, fee arrangement, bills of
No,
services?
this really isn't, see, he didn't really provide that cover letter that I could have just simply read.
Okay, because
And-
I'm curious why we didn't read the engineer's contract that came in.
Yeah,
It's usually just the
yeah,
cover letter.
Okay, because I might read that next week.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I really, to be honest with you, if I had something else that I could have read, but it didn't accompany the retainer of the agreement.
Okay.
So that's why I just read some of it, not all of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mike. The rest of the board, how do you feel about this? Jonathan?
I'm going to concur with Susie. I wasn't overly. It's okay. I'm going to concur with Susie. I wasn't overly impressed with the performance based on the communications that were received. So my hope is if we do approve this, that we will get more periodic communications and we'll have more information in order for us to make informed and intelligent decisions.
Okay.
But I do believe no matter what, we need to have some type of
Yeah.
in-between at this point. And hopefully, we're going to get to a point where we don't need that in the near future.
Okay, no, agreed. Okay. So before we approve this, before we move on approving it, if that's what we're going to do, we should probably have a conversation with Mr. Pinsky with respect to what you just said.
I think just another paragraph in regards to communications, that we'll have a summary communication that's delivered on a monthly basis to the town board members.
Okay.
I think that
All
that,
right.
to me, would suffice, and I'd be much happier with this contract if it had that.
Okay, if it had that in it, okay. All right, no, that's a good point, Jonathan. And I could convey that to him, and he could resubmit this.
And from the discussions that we've had with him previously, I don't think he'll have an issue with it. I just want it to be outlined in our contract that it's something that we expect on a monthly basis.
Okay, all right. Do me a favor, when you get a chance, put that down in writing. Exactly what, when I contact him, Mr. Pinsky, I want to be able to convey exactly what your concerns are and what you'd like to see in the agreement. And I'm in agreement with you, Jonathan, that should be in there. And Susie, I think that's, to your point, right, that you weren't happy with some of the communication.
Yeah, no.
Okay, I'm going to go down to this side.
I have to be honest with you, I'm a rookie, and I'm not familiar with them,
Okay, yeah,
so I'm going to tell you the truth. I have no idea. I
All right.
refer to you guys.
okay. Thanks, Mike. John?
I'm fine with,
additional language?
I'm fine with the contract right now, and I'm fine if you want to add that, additional language on communication. You know, we will, regardless of the law firm, and I love you, Greg, you will never get perfect communication. I think he does a fine job. He's an expert in in this field. We need something, if there are certain board members that feel that you want to go in another direction of another law firm, we do have a termination that at any time. So, you know, in the meantime, we need this because it is a very important topic. I say go forward. If you guys would like to talk to him to add that communication, then by all means, add that communication clause.
I'll contact him and have him resubmit the, all right, so with that clause in here, you'd be in support?
I'd be satisfied
You
with
would,
that clause.
okay. All right. John, you would be fine with that? And-
I'm fine with it now, so add it,
Okay.
I'm fine also.
All right.
I would like to emphasize what I stated before, though. I don't believe that it's something that we need to have for the long term. I think that what we need to do is work on our communications with our fire protection districts individually, and when we have those lines of communication at the point where I believe that they should be for a healthy relationship, at that point, I don't believe we're going to need representation for these matters anymore.
Right.
But I don't feel presently we're there.
Okay. All right. Okay, thanks, Jonathan. All right, we're going to move on to number 2 on the agenda tonight. That's Rich Franzetti, PE Town Engineer. Consider request for Town Engineer, Recreation Director, Senior Rec Leader, and members of the Lake Cassie Park District Advisory Board to attend the Blue-Green Algae Seminar at Putnam County Bureau of Emergency Services Building, January 23rd, 2018. There's no charge for this. Rich? I know I just
Yeah, you
covered a lot of it,
essentially
but-
summarized it. This is for, it's a presentation being sponsored by the Health Department up at the Bureau of Emergency Services on January 23rd from 9 a.m. to 11. It's representatives from New York State DOH and New York State DEC will present an informational seminar aimed to provide information on blue-green algae. As the board may be aware, Lake Cassie had to be shut down predominantly a lot this summer. There were very few times that it was open, and it was due to blue-green algae, so the county does go out there and sample on a regular basis, and they did have to close the lake. So this will hopefully help us come up with solutions. Right now, they're planning on doing, looking into methods to treat this situation there. See, Lake Secor has also had that issue. They've been invited to this seminar. I don't know if they're attending or not, so I might ask the board just to consider asking to include the Lake Secor personnel. Tea Kettle Spout Lake folks have indicated that they are not going to attend. They don't use Tea Kettle Lake or upper end Tea Kettle for bathing, or swimming, and therefore the concern for blue-green algae is not there. Not that they may or may not get it. It's just they don't need to be attending this.
Okay.
Oh, and folks from Lake Mahopac have been invited also. I don't know if they're attending or not. I forwarded the information to Ed Barnett, so I don't know if they're going to attend this.
Jim, was the beach at Long Pond at Sycamore Park, was that closed last year for blue-green algae at all?
No, we had a couple spots that we identified as an algae. We had it tested and it was not blue-green algae.
Okay.
So this is something that we would typically go to every year with camp training and waterfront training.
Okay.
Department
All right.
office.
Okay.
So they're just trying to get us up to speed on how to identify, how to report it, you know, what the hazards are. There's a lot out there that's all new.
Yeah, I think it's an important seminar to attend, so I'm glad that you're going. And Rich, please reach out to the Lake Secor people.
Call Brenner.
Right, and let them know about it.
Okay.
It's their choice whether they want to attend or not, but because they had an issue at the Secor Beach, they probably should learn more about it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Okay, any questions, comments for Rich regarding the blue-green algae seminar?
Nope, thank you.
You want to
Thank
attend it, Jonathan?
It's late, I shouldn't be asking the question. How come we don't have a Kirk Lake Association? How come, I live on Kirk Lake, and I have a newsletter that came out when I
Do you
first
wanna
moved in
go?
there?
Not a town park.
That's the, okay,
All right,
Yeah.
It's a homeowner association, just like Lake McGregor.
okay. But I almost feel like we should probably have a representative from each one of these lakes who could go and visit this.
You
I-
should
Wanted to
be.
go there.
Councilman Schneider, I believe there's no argument with that. That's a decision that the board wants to have that happen. But on the grand scheme of things, the original invite was sent out to those communities, lake communities that have had the blue-green algae issue, where people are in the lake. And I don't know if Kirk Lake has experienced it. That doesn't mean it has not. You know, there are probably areas where it is. But, you know, the county sent this information out to those communities or lake properties that have been affected, or lake communities that have been impacted.
They sent it out to all beach permit holders.
Right, well, that might have been it, thank you,
Okay.
beach permit holders.
You have lifeguards there?
Yes.
yeah.
At Kirk Lake?
On your side, on the other side.
By right,
Lakeshore, there is. The homeowner association has a beach there, and there is a lifeguard there.
right.
They would have a permit and they would have been invited to this.
So they may have been invited to it.
Okay. I'll check with some of the residents that I know over there by Lake Shore and see if they'd like to have a representative out there. I'll let you know later this week.
Yeah, might
Okay.
as well if
Okay.
somebody wants to go.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks, Rich. All right, next, 3 and 4 are Jim Gilchrist, Director of Recreation and Parks. 3 is to consider a request to renew a licensing agreement with ASCAP. This is the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers for the 2018 Sunset Concert Series.
Sure. Yeah, the fee has gone up, I think it went up 2% from last year. So it's still a very small fee for the concerts that we have in the Chamber Park. And also it covers any other concerts that we do throughout town at our senior event. And it's required that we do this each year. So bring in front, Kenny's got to sign this, and we get it back to him, I think by, was it March or so, if I remember correctly?
Is it March every year?
Yep. So this has been going on probably for the last 12 to 13 years.
Yeah, yeah. And this is an annual thing that we do, annual
Yes,
renewal
yeah.
for it, yeah,
Yep, and it'll cover all of our town programs.
yeah.
So if anything's done in town hall, if you have music on your telephones, it's all covered there.
It's $348.
Yes, yep.
It's very reasonable. Okay, any questions for Rich? I'm sorry, for Jim
No,
regarding the ASCAP renewal?
You think I look like Rich? No.
All right, so 4, consider request for proposals for the concession stand at Sycamore Park.
Yep, yeah, our 3-year contract that we have with our current concessionaire is going to run out in March. So I was trying to get a head start on that and get that out to the public. What we typically do is we'll put it out in the newspapers. We'll do a public notice in the paper, also in the back of the paper. We advertise through the Chamber of Commerce, and then the administrative staff in the Recreation Department sends out a invitation letter to all delis in town. Probably about 2 contracts ago, we had a contract that came up from Westchester that actually bid on it. They picked it up through the papers here. But what I did is I listed out going back to 2003,
Oh, Mr.
when Mr. Hayes was still around. And then back then, it was 1-year agreements. We would basically go out for an RFP, would come back. We got into the 3-year, which works out perfectly. So, and you could see how the prices went up, and then they went down. The reason that they went down in the last contract was due to the camp numbers. We had lower enrollment, and their costs were, their revenues were going down. And if you look at the back page, this has evolved over probably the last 6 or 7 years, where different foods were added to this to the menu. So you still have your typical snack bar items, and then the healthy foods were added in. Milks were added in, fresh fruit cups, the cup of soup, garden salads, and all that. And that's based on what they sell. They might deviate from what's on the menu. They might not be offered at all times. But this is what's sent out to our campers as part of our camp program. And they can check off whatever they're looking for. As you look at the costs, my big thing is when we send this out would be what they're going to pay per year and also what the menu costs are. We don't want to be going out and selling hot dogs for $5. I mean, for the kids to be able to get a hot dog at $2.25 it's a good price. So we've really been hard on the people that are bidding on this to keep their menu numbers down. This menu is actually set out in a packet that we send out to the people that are bidding on it. So I was looking for authorization to go out, and I'd have Ann advertise this probably for the next month or so in the paper, and then come back to you guys in the beginning of March.
Okay. Yep, that works, Jim. They've done a good job up there, Carmel Bagelicious, right?
Yes, they've been outstanding. They've
You
really,
satisfied with them?
they've worked with all of our programs. Their health department evaluations and inspections have been perfect. They've never been shut down. Concession stands, that's one area, when you have seasonal staff working in there, you do get issues. We've never had an issue out there having them for the last number of years. They work with all of our special events. They have food trucks that they bring in to supplement the snack bar, which we've been very happy with their service.
Great, thanks, Jimmy.
Okay. Yep, thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Are you gonna do the chief?
Yeah, I'm doing the chief. Yeah, the chief had to leave. He was called out on something. So he asked me to cover his agenda items. He's got 2 tonight, 5 and 6. 5 is uniforms. So the chief is consider request to award the bid for the purchase and cleaning of police uniforms. So he does have a letter here. Attached are the bid proposals for the purchase and for the dry cleaning of police uniforms. I am recommending that the town board award the uniform purchasing bid to New England Uniform for the calendar year 2018. New England Uniform is in Danbury, Connecticut, is the lowest responsible price bidder. I am recommending that the town board also award the dry cleaning bid to Mahopac Laundry Aid and Dry Cleaners for the calendar year 2018. Mahopac Laundry and Dry Cleaners is at 960 Route 6, and they're the lowest price bidder for cleaning of their uniforms at $2.95 per unit. Bid opening for the purchase of police uniforms and dry cleaning uniforms for calendar year 2018. So it's a unit price list he has attached here for uniforms, but they actually bid out for pants, jackets, summer cap, winter cap, reversible raincoat, flying cross. So it's a unit bid prices that he was given. So he's recommending that we approve those.
Kenny, the only thing I question on that is, whoever the second bidder was, were they a local company?
This second,
And the difference.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna ask the chief this week. I have no problem giving it to the lowest bidder. But if a local company is close, I think we should consider it. I like the fact that Carmel Dry Cleaners is in there. I just think we should reach out to the local businesses.
where are they
We go to
located?
Danbury,
Mahopac
Connecticut.
Laundry Aid and Dry Cleaners.
They're right
Are
there
they the ones right out in the middle of town?
Yeah.
But that's just to do the dry cleaning, that's
Yeah.
not to do the,
That's
not
just the dry
purchasing,
cleaning.
That's dry cleaning.
I believe,
New England Uniform is the,
you could check with the chief, I believe that the New England Uniform is the only company that actually.
I was gonna say, that's what he's gonna come back and say.
Yeah.
And that's what I figured too.
Yeah.
But I wanted it out there that there's nobody in the town of Carmel that does it.
yeah, no. And there's a certain distance, right? Wasn't there something, that distance that they had to travel?
Yes.
Was it 25 miles or something like that, John?
Yeah, so the officers don't have to go.
As long as the public understands
Yeah, no,
that we are
thank you,
reaching
Mike.
out locally and no one does it.
Yep,
And
thanks, Mike.
this is annually, and this is part of their contract. Both items or activities, the uniforms and the dry cleaning is part of their contract.
I make notes.
Okay, the next, number 6 is the final work session item for tonight. This is also Police Chief Mike Kazari. This is to consider request to award a bid for the purchase and equipment, the mounting of purchasing three 2018 Dodge Chargers, they're all-wheel drive vehicles. And he's got a proposal here from Robert Green Truck Division. It's Route 17 East, it's in Rock Hill, New York. And the price per unit is $34,611.69. But we get a lot for that $34,611.69. I believe they install, yeah, yes, right, that's the second part of it. This part here, Jonathan, this is for the tough book mounting, the Panasonic tough books. Maintenance. Yes, so there's an additional 19,000 for all three of them to be outfitted with the QuickBooks. That's the computers for the cars, the swing arm that they need, the docking station, the 5-year service, maintenance, parts and labor. This is for the protection of and the service of the QuickBooks, the charger, the modem, the installation. So for all three cars, it's $19,062.75. So we budgeted $150,000 for new cars for 2018 for the PD. So this is, we're at about 125? So it's around 125 for the cars and for the software and the programs and the tough books and things like that. So it's budgeted. They need the cars, the Caprices that we currently have. They're 2013 models, and some of them have very high mileage. They're still running, they're in the fleet, but they're aging, and before they become a bigger problem as far as, cost to repair them, as opposed to, buying new cars is gonna, exceed the cost to purchase new is gonna benefit rather than putting money into these older cars. So I recommend that we approve the chief's requested purchase of the 3 cars and installing the equipment as well. Everybody okay with that?
They work.
Mike? You okay with that?
Okay with that. I got to believe the Long Island dealer specializes in police vehicles, but I'm going to ask the chief again the difference with the local dealer.
Okay, all right, great. Thanks, Mike. John, good? Good, okay. All right, that concludes the agenda items for this evening's Town Board work session. Is there anybody who would like to come up and speak on the work session items that we covered tonight? Ed?
Good evening. Edward Scott, Chairman of the Board of Fire Commissioners, Mahopac Volunteer Fire Department. First of all, Happy New Year to all of you. Look forward to it.
Same to you, Ed.
The agenda item 1, it says consider proposals for special legal services of Town of Carmel Fire Protection Districts and ambulance services for 2018. But when you read the scope of the work from Mr. Pinsky, it's $20,000 just to review the Mahopac Fire Department finances. So that's a little misleading right there as for the agenda item. It's $20,000 that the town does not need to spend. We provided that information to Mr. Pinsky for the last 2 years. He has not provided any reports back to the fire department that he was required to under the contract. You're doing a contract with Pinsky before you even have a contract with the fire department that would have any kind of financial oversight in it, so you're kind of putting the cart before the horse on that. And we would be just as willing to send the information to the town controller, who could look at it also and see that our expenditures are above board. You're be saving $20,000 in taxpayer money, and just have us send the information up to Mary Ann quarterly.
Okay.
Just on a side note, the other day during the snowstorm, fire department responded 13 times helping the residents, okay? Members spent the day and most of the evening at the firehouse.
Wow,
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Ed. Thank you.
yeah,
And
I
thank you,
ran
membership.
into, who was it, Kevin? And he was saying in one night, I think it was maybe Thursday, there was like 3 or 4 calls.
Yeah, all day,
So-
all night Thursday during the snowstorm.
Yeah, so thank you.
Who'd you run into, Sue? Kevin?
Swain, you know,
Kevin Swain, yeah, John.
Swain?
John- I didn't know if I was allowed to say his last name.
Oh,
Kevin
okay.
Swain.
All right, yeah.
John's brother.
John's
young
brother?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ran up to
All
him
right.
up in Stop and Shop.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. No, thanks so much, Ed. We appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anyone else that would like to come up and speak?
I know it's been a long night. I'm going to make this very brief. Hi, Jean Hopper, Mayapack. Today, we talked a lot about communication between the town board and the town itself and the citizens of Mayapack and Carmel. You know, you had mentioned several times about the website, that things are on the website. And I think it was said very nicely today that people don't peruse that website. You know, there's Facebook, we also, last week, or was it last week, all those postings that you had, all those appointments, that you were looking for positions. We also talked about making Mayapack News and another paper the official paper of the town of Mayapack Town Board. Why aren't those things advertised? When the town is looking for something or wanting to disseminate information, why are those newspapers not used? Why am I told to look in Channel 95? You're telling elderly citizens, go on our website. I think those things, the water issue, the hearing, I didn't see it advertised anywhere. Now, I know that our fire department does a great job in advertising when they have open house and candy cane runs. Perfect example of how you guys should be responding and advertising your needs to your constituents. Okay? Get
So
it out
you
there.
asking
Get it
us-
in the papers. Get it on those signs. Okay? They've used them. Other people have used them.
Yeah,
Why are we not
we-
using them?
Yeah, we do ask the papers, as you know, they're here every single week.
Yeah.
And you have heard us, more Kenny, not really me. Can you please put it in the paper? We have no control what they put in the paper.
I,
You
Okay,
know,
even though they're your official
unfortunately,
paper of Mayapack, so that holds no water with them.
well,
I
you,
wish Mr. Dumas were here. I'm going to ask him next
if
time I
they
see
have
him
to
here.
the public notices.
I will
Yeah.
100% agree with you, and I brought it to the board. When we designed our website a few years back,
Yeah.
I had said we have the capabilities of social media. I believe it's something that we should be utilizing.
Yeah.
Even if we limit what communications can be put back on.
Signage. You've got signage all over town. When there's
We
an
don't-
election, we see lots of ads in the
don't know-
paper, we see lots of signage. When there's something important, that dirty, filthy water that we were all so upset to see, how long has that been going on? 4, 5, 6 years? Okay, had it be decided tonight? I understand that. If I were those people, I'd want it done 4 or 5 years ago. Okay?
yeah.
Now, we know, and I'm going to bring this up, that 4 or 5 years ago, we were just entering that big town tax reassessment mess, okay? Let's make sure that we have clean water above and beyond. Let's make sure that we have a futuristic vision for your constituents, for these people that are taxpayers, okay? To help them out and not wait until this 11th hour, all right? It happened with the tax assessments. It happened with this water. I'll tell you, I wasn't really heavily involved in the tax assessment, didn't affect us that negatively. My water is well water. But boy, if I were those people,
Oh, yeah, I'd be
man, you
fuming.
guys,
Yeah, I'd
all
be-
right, not good. So I'd like to see that a little more aggressive. You want job postings? You really want to get people? Advertise it. Put signage out there, just like we see it when you guys want to be elected, if not more so. That water and those tax assessments were more important than an election. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit confused. What signage are you referring to?
Well,
What type of signs?
we talked about this last time when
Not
you were
the
having
vari-
the
the
hearing
variable
about the
message
fire.
boards?
Well,
Variable message boards you want us
yeah,
to post?
why not? When you're having
No.
a town hearing on
No, that-
water,
we're
on
not-
the water,
We
We actually have a code.
yeah.
why not? We did it for
don't.
candy cane runs.
Who did it for a candy
The
cane?
fire department.
Talking about
Why can't the
advertising.
town board use that?
Talking about advertising in the paper.
I don't understand that.
I can
If
understand
it's stated
advertising.
as official papers, the question is, why aren't we advertising in the official papers?
Important community events.
Legal notices.
Yeah.
There should be,
Yeah.
if we designate
No,
a
I agree.
newspaper.
We have to be much more aggressive in getting your
If we
needs and
designate a
wants and
newspaper-
communication. Because I'm quoting you, and communication is important. That's
It's
what you
so
said this
important.
evening.
Yeah, it's absolutely important. And
Let's
Yeah.
be real aggressive.
And we do a good job of communicating, but can we do a better job? Absolutely. I agree with
Absolutely,
you. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm on, listen,
Yeah.
I'm on, just so you know, during the snow event, during the, I was all over Facebook. I have a Facebook page.
Right.
Where I have a couple of hundred people, I think. I helped so many people with Nice Egg, where there were power outages and
Good,
things like that.
yeah.
They responded, so you saw it, right? All the postings. I'm on there a lot,
Well,
and probably too much.
I know,
But that's
all-
me personally.
Respectfully, Mr. Schmidt, people aren't coming here and saying, when I call NICEAG, I'm not getting a hold of them. What I heard a lot here was people saying, I didn't know my pipes were being flushed. I didn't know I could get a free case of water. I didn't know there was something to help me. That's not what we should be hearing from your town.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. The word
Okay.
has to be out there.
On the organizational meeting on the first night, we designated things, and I wasn't on board yet, where I could, open up conversations. But before the end of the year, before we designate an official newspaper, I'm going to ask something from that official newspaper.
Absolutely.
Whether it be a quarter page a week for,
Public
Or,
notice, right?
as you get off the parkway, you have
Communication.
Yorktown event sign. We don't have that parkway advantage right here, but we have a newspaper. We're going to try to take advantage of it, in my mind.
Right, I mean, we have seen signage for other things, and things that are important in this town aren't getting communicated properly. Let's be real aggressive then. You've heard it here tonight from a lot of people besides myself.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Let's go
We
home.
just have to be careful with the newspaper, that it's Mahopac News, and this is the town of Carmel, the hamlet with all the water, they don't even
Not
see
get
that
it.
newspaper.
That's difficult.
So that is the difficult, yeah. No, we just have to be,
The
Courier,
courier,
The
the
courier.
courier,
Putnam
You have to make sure everybody gets it.
yes.
yeah.
Okay. Open forum, new business portion of the meeting? Did you guys cover? Okay, all right. Oh,
All good.
that's all right, no problem. All right, I do have one announcement that I was asked to read. Carmel Town Hall will be closed on Monday, January 15th, and that's this coming Monday, January 15th, in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So we're closed on Monday. We'll reopen on Tuesday, normal business hours, 8:30 to 4:30. Does anybody else have any announcements they'd like to make? Jonathan, you have anything? Good night. Jonathan?
I would like to,
Besides having,
Everybody's saying it's Martin Luther King.
everybody came out tonight. I thought that it was nice to be able to have a lot of communication, a lot of
yeah,
Can't you get cigars instead of those?
I don't share these.
I want cigars.
This is what my daughter smuggled out of
I'd love to
Peru.
see more people coming out and expressing what their opinions are, whether they're positive or negative.
the new truck in yet, Ed?
Candy.
No, later this month.
Later this month?
all I got
All right,
left.
great, good. Thanks, Ed. Good night. All right. Anybody else have any announcements? Mike? John? Okay, no. Guys, we do have one executive session item? No, okay. All right. All right. So you want to hold off on that until next week? Okay. All right, so we're going to close the
Oh,
meeting.
motion to close.
Motion to close.
So moved.
All right, I need a second to close the meeting. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, good night, everyone, be well. See you back here next Wednesday on January 17th for a town board voting meeting.